3D photography has been regarded as the poor man's photography, the poor relation of photography all through photographic history. It's very strange. It's been kind of looked down upon. But I think there's no justification for that. And one of my missions in life is to really put 3D photography where it should be in photographic history. Well, all my life I've been keen on stereo, as you probably know, and when I went to college I used to go into Christie's auctioneers in South Kensington. I had no money, so I couldn't buy anything, but I could view everything, and I got to know what all these things did. All these beautiful old cameras, wonderful old Victorian viewers. So I have a good general knowledge, even from those times, of how things work and how they made stereoscopy a national craze. I mean, it was huge. The London Stereoscopic Company in 1858 boasted 1 million views, and this is very big time. And they went all around the world to the States, particularly in France, which is a huge craze as well. And the Victorians could see the world through the stereoscope. My own company is called the London Stereoscopic Company, and obviously it's inspired by the 1850s original London Stereoscopic Company, which became defunct about 1930. And really I've trodden a path very similar to what they did. I'm just obsessed with the idea of people getting back into this technology and enjoying 3D as I do. 3D is all about getting two views, really. That's what stereoscopy is. We have two eyes, and the reason we see things in wonderful, glorious 3D around us is because our brain puts these two slightly different pictures of the universe together. So what you're trying to do in 3D photography is to recreate that effect. So what happened was, eating my Weetabix cereal as a kid, about 7 years old, and out of the Weetabix packet pops a little card which looks like that, and you have two pictures side by side which are very flat and not very inspiring, but I turned it over and it says, "You must get a Weetabix 3D viewer," and here it is. And what you do is you put the card into the viewer like this, it just slots in, and I'd never seen anything like this in my life. This was a revelation to me. But you look through, and instead of two flat pictures of hippos, you have, wow, suddenly it's like there's a window and you could fall through the window into the mouths of these incredible creatures. So to me, this was magic. I thought, why doesn't everybody do this the whole time? If you can take 3D pictures, why would you bother taking 2D pictures? Why isn't this worldwide endorsed, So that was the beginning of my complete enchantment with stereo, and it's never left me. So with my pocket money, 2 and 6pence to be exact, I found in Woolworths this little camera. It's a VP Twin, first camera I ever owned. It's not a high quality instrument, but it gave me what I wanted. And what I did was put it on a table and go click, move it on the table, sliding, and click again. And I have my two pictures. And I put them together on a card. So these are the first attempts that I made. I took a picture of my dad decorating the kitchen from outdoors. It's not a perfect stereo picture, but it does work. So if you put it in the viewer, like the Weetabix pictures, it works just fine. And this is in my Queen book reproduced. I then got my dad to do the same thing, and he took a picture of me in the garden. And then he took a picture of me on my bike, which was also very new and exciting at the time. So these I have little treasures from my childhood. We all remember where we were when something that affects us deeply happened, like the death of Kennedy, for me, the death of Buddy Holly. And I remember exactly where we were when Neil Armstrong put his foot on the moon.
It's one small step for man.
I was down in Cornwall with Rog, our drummer.
One Dial, please, for Amanda.
In the very early days of Queen, we were doing the sort of tour of Cornwall at the time, I think, with the legendary drummer of Cornwall, who was Rog. And we were all in his mum's house, clustered around this tiny little TV screen about this size, and we all watched it. It seemed like the most incredible thing ever. And to me, it still seems fresh and new and exciting. You know, this is the space age, isn't it? But, you know, it's 50 years. I'm 50 years older, and no one had ever done a 3D book on the whole Apollo history. And we thought, can we do it? Is it possible? Is there enough material? The astronauts actually were trained in 3D, mostly. Although very often I think they were too busy to really remember it and practice it. But they were taught how to do the cha-cha things. So take a picture here, and eventually it would become a 3D picture. So occasionally you're lucky enough to find one of those. But it's fascinating. You know, for me it's a passion. I'm completely geeky where this is concerned. So if we're on tour with Queen, I'll be back at the hotel at 3 a.m. trying to put two of these images together, which Claudia has sent me, and make them work as a 3D. So that's what you see in the book. So in the back of your Mission Moon 3D book, you will find what you need to view in 3D, which is the OWL stereo viewer. I'm very proud of this book. I think it's one of the most beautiful we've ever managed to make. We're quite a long way down the line now with stereo books. I think this is the 6th book we've done. A lot of it's been classic 3D, Victorian 3D, which I love, but it's the same principle. And this, if anything, brings Victorian 3D technique into the 21st century. And, you know, it's still the best. I always had some kind of stereo camera with me, and that's why I was able to make this book, because over the years touring and in studios and whatever with my group, with Queen, I always had the stereo cameras. This is the analog camera that I use, a stereo realist. It's a wonderful piece of engineering, just wonderful, made in the 1950s. There's all sorts of little shots in here, they're sort of candid pictures, because people were so used to me having this camera around, they weren't self-conscious, so they're nice little kind of intimate views of what life was like on stage, but also off stage, for us as a growing bunch of musicians adventuring into the world. So I was very happy to be able to do this. This ties up a lot of ends for me. I was glad that it actually made a book. I wasn't sure if it would. When we started on the project, I thought, do I have enough stuff? But actually we had loads. VR is the distant descendant of the Victorian stereoscopic viewer. And yes, it's rather strange to me that now we can see the world. You know, you can have a virtual reality experience of like being beside the pyramids. And this is exactly what the Victorians did. The Victorians saw all these incredible places for the first time in incredible realism in their little dark rooms at night, looking through, you know, with candles lit and looking at their stereoscopic pictures. So yeah, I love it. And VR has made this stuff possible again, you know, or not possible, it's made it more accessible, because you don't have to explain what it is to people. Every kid knows what VR is. So you present them with a stereoscope and they get it.